The comrades can't have had much time to unpack their bags from the latest Jez Fest that was the Labour Party conference before they reverted to sixth form student union debating society type. The latest reported wheeze to woo voters is to propose a 4-day working week, but with your pay untouched. It would be like asking school children if they'd vote to abolish homework. Utter Labour la-la land drivel. And to support this Marxist madness, supporters of a shorter week point to countries such as France and Germany, where some industries have boosted output with this plan. But that ignores the crucial fact that Britain has hordes of SMEs, that's small and medium-sized enterprises. Napoleon was right. We are a nation of shopkeepers, and we should be damn proud of it too. In most instances, they simply couldn't afford this. Now, we all know Labour is to economic reality what Strictly Come Dancing is to fidelity, but this will not work, whether over 4 days or 5.
Do you know, Nick, that one of the most popular self-help books of the last decade has been called The 4-Hour Work Week? So actually, this is a very gruelling week that Labour are proposing. First of all, it's not a policy, it's an idea. It's an idea, and, you know, while I don't feel that I have the authority to say that it would work for all industries to have a 4-day work week, what I welcome about this is the fact that our lives, our work lives, have changed dramatically in the last decade. Tech has meant that we all take our work home with us. Apparently, there are estimates we spend 7 hours a week more working because of our ability to stay connected at home now. And no political party has taken ownership of this issue and said, what has this done to our productivity, to our anxiety levels, to our relationship with our children, to our ability to care for our older parents? All of these big social issues that relate to our ability to have time for our communities and families have just not been looked at. So I think that actually it's easy to laugh at, you know, and call it Marxist madness, but I think that there is a serious issue underlying it, which is what will our work lives be like in the future, and how can we get there while avoiding some of the huge pitfalls we have now? Because there's no question that we're not a happy country. Suicide, we had World Mental Health Day this week. Suicide is the biggest cause of death among young men in this country. Children have unprecedented levels of anxiety. And actually, you know, we all talk about children being on their smartphones too much. Most children say their biggest problem is their parents being on their devices too much. So I think that we need to look at...
I'll bring you in a moment. I saw June reacting quite vociferously. I sort of thought, respectfully, you wouldn't... I think I know which way Rachel and Carol will go. I didn't think you'd be... I'm really intrigued as to which way you're going to go with my idea, or my opposition to the idea.
Well, you're not going to believe this, Nick, but I completely agree with you. I think this is absolute dribble, Afua. And let me tell you...
It's drivel, not dribble.
Yeah, drivel, sorry, drivel. Absolute drivel, Afua. And let me tell you this, Nick. So, at the moment, Andy Haldane from the Bank of England was talking about this earlier this week, where he was saying that there's the productivity puzzle and our productivity levels have slumped literally for the past decade. Now, I think the problem isn't that we're working too long. I think the problem is we're not working long enough. I think we need to increase it. Instead of a 5-day work week, 6-day work week. Look at what's happened to France. It hasn't worked for them at all. So what we need to do is increase it. So I'm with you.
Just before anyone else comes in, can I just bring in John McDonnell? Because it was him.
I never want to hear anything John McDonnell says.
And we know how much June's just being vindictive. She doesn't like it. Let's hear what John McDonnell says.
We work the longest hours in Europe, and yet we're less productive. The Germans and French produce in 4 days what we produce in 5, and yet we work the longest hours.
So the TUC say go for it. Is Labour going for it?
I think we'll be exploring a whole range of issues about automation in particular, and then how that can impact on the working.
And we might see that in the next Labour manifesto?
We'll look at the working week, because I think people are working too long.
So that could be in the manifesto.
We'll see how it goes.
And just to pick up on what John McDonnell was saying there, these are the average weekly hours we work in the UK, higher than Germany and France. But if you look at our productivity, it's significantly lower than Germany and France. So the idea that the more you work, June, and if you work even more, you're more productive, it's just proven, incorrect.
Do you think the way to solve that is to impose a cut of 20% on people's working week? That's not going to make it more. But my part, you were talking before about, first of all, you said something about it's not policy, it's an idea. It would become policy if the idea caught on. But there are lots of people in this country who are already working 40-hour weeks. Not the kind of people you described, not the kind of people who take work home or are involved in tech, whatever. People who are working in factories and warehouses and all the rest of it. 40 hours a week isn't enough for them. They have to get a second job to go out and actually look after their families and you know, feed their kids. So this is the most ridiculous side, and it's typical of a Labour government that just spews out rubbish with no idea how it's going to pay. Let me just say one thing and then I'm out. Their latest raft of policies, you know, that they haven't costed, but other people have, analysts have, £1 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to cost every working family £3.5 grand.
What's £1 trillion?
Their policies.
What if we have a 4-day work week?
No, the ridiculous policies that have been chucking out
you're too young, but if you're in your mid-40s and above, you will remember a 3-day week where the television went. There were only 3 television channels. They went off at 10:30. The pubs closed at 11, and the shops closed on Thursday afternoon.
And it's not a country in which have we become more productive?
It's not a country in which we would return.
Do you remember we read by candlelight?
I thought we weren't going to talk about that. It was a whole separate occasion, Rachel.
Look, I mean, look, given that it's never going to happen, I'm prepared to entertain, you know, comically, the notion of a 4-day week because, you know, basically a lot of employers anyway spend, you know, are on a cardo.
Okay, but in your heart,
wait. No, look, I mean, 4 days, why not? I mean, if honestly people are going to be made completely redundant by automation,
good luck with that.
But I genuinely think that it has to be down to the employers. We can't have a statist, dirigistic...
Rachel, a 4-day week for you, that'd be 4 times your workload at the moment. You've only got one
I'm on a 0 hours contract, 0 hours work. Hold on, we need to hear from
then,
Francis O'Grady at the TUC conference.
OK, then.
Now, as ever, we demand fair shares. That means higher wages, less time at work, more time with our loved ones. So for the 21st century, let's lift our ambition again. I believe that in this century, we can win a 4-day working week with decent pay for everyone.
Nonsense.
I love that. It's like a letter to Father Christmas. I want everything.
No, but you say
for
that.
free.
You say that, but in the past, workers didn't have 5-day working weeks or protected sickness and holiday. It was trade unions that got us.
What company is going to pay a full wage for 20%
Can I just say, in the past, we did not have competition from India, China and the other BRIC countries. We have not got it like that.
Yes, but what we need to crack is productivity. That's the... If you could prove to me that working 7 days a week would increase our productivity and our viability as a society, I'd go for it. But the evidence is the opposite. We've got low productivity,
the evidence
high anxiety and mental health
problems.
Once
we bring in automation, actually, we will increase productivity.
Well, we'll all be at home. We'll all be at home.
But we'll be working from home. We'll be doing both.
You won't be working.
Yes, we will.
We won't be working.
Yes,
Machines don't have what I do.
No, they're not.
This idea of spending more time at home. My loved ones don't want to see me. If I didn't go to work, I wouldn't have anything to do all day long. That's the reason I work so damn hard. Broad brush strokes, and I'd probably carry the room on this motion then, that it does work. So I have got you like the sort of lunacy of it, but if it was reality, if they were baring their teeth, it couldn't possibly... And again, the key is, Afua, the SMEs. If you're running a massive oil company, if you're running a telecommunications company, if you've got half a dozen people making, I don't know, tractor parts, you can't afford
I'm not in favour of a diktat that forces companies to pay their staff more to work 4 days, but there are some companies that have voluntarily done it because they actually believe it will produce results for productivity. And I also want to get you to think ahead. You know, you were talking about the past I don't remember. I want to talk about the future you don't see.
I won't see.
There is going to come a time when there's talk already about what will humans do when our work is no longer required for economic productivity. Our work will be done by machines. We'll
train people, upskill people in different ways, and actually the machines will add to our productivity. And I think we will be working more.
All right.